slow this morning. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and potential Toastmasters. Welcome to Wake Up with Toastmasters. I'm your host, Ken Richardson, the District 115 Club Growth Director. My co-host today is the lovely Phyllis Treby, Distinguished Toastmaster and past District Governor. Good morning, Phyllis. How you doing?
Good morning, Ken. I'm doing great. And hello to our public out there. Don't forget to comment on your Facebook.
Absolutely. If you'd like to join us, on Facebook, you can go to facebook.com/TMD115CGD, and then you'll be on our page. So please feel free to join us. And if you have questions, let us know. I see that Jennifer Smith has joined us. Good morning, Jennifer. Nice to have you with us today. Today, I wanted to revisit, I know we've talked in the past, Phyllis, about the role of the area director in district leadership, but I know we still have a few openings in our quest to fill leadership roles for the coming new year. The fiscal year is starting July 1st. So I thought we'd talk some about area directors. And one of the things that I did, I don't know if have you gotten the newsletter yet?
No.
Okay, I'll make sure you get a copy. Sometimes it's a little slow making the rounds, but one of the things I did, I wanted to feature the area directors. So I asked the area directors to answer a few questions about, what they like about it and what have you. And I put that in this month's newsletter. So I'll make sure you get a copy of that. But I think the thing that comes through with everyone that I've talked to who has served in that role is how valuable it was to them in terms of developing their leadership and getting out in the Toastmasters community, meeting new people, learning new things, and making new friends. So it's just a fantastic way to move beyond the club into district leadership. Now, I know you and I have discussed before, we were area governors. That's before they changed the titles, but what are some of your memories of that role?
I think you probably start out not sure that you can do the job, but Toastmasters is always there to help you. So there's always going to be a club that you visit that has a past area governor in it that will help you get over your, self-confidence, bring it forth so that you can do the job. I had in my group Wendy Farrell. Well, Wendy Farrell had been a past international director. And when she heard I was going to be her area director, she was right there, jolly on the spot. Come to my club first. We'll go over this, and then you'll know how to do the next club. So you don't go out there blinded. You go out there with the support of the district, but also with the support of the members. It's kind of scary at first, but then you get to meet all these new people. And when you go to a new club, you get a different atmosphere than what's in your own personal club. And that helps you learn new things. How do they present their speakers? How do they do table topics? What do they include as the word of the day? Do they vote? And you learn those things and you bring back the best thing to your own personal club, but you share it with the other clubs that are in your area. So it's a great experience. I think everyone should give it a try and not be afraid to step forward.
Yes, and we do have several openings remaining, as I mentioned. So we want to make sure that everyone who's listening this morning or who views this a little later, if you have any interest in becoming an area director, send me an email. I will get you connected with the district leadership committee, and we'll go from there. I'll be happy to answer any questions. You can email me at d115cgd@gmail.com. And when I was an area governor back in the day, gosh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
The training was not as robust as it is today. And I went on the TI website actually last night looking at the training, and it is being updated and it's vastly improved. And I do have a PowerPoint that I want to hit.
It can't be without a PowerPoint.
It's almost inevitable, isn't it? I'm telling you. So let me pull
I
this
bet
up.
you can make those quicker than quick.
There we go. I've gotten so, I guess, used to it that, yeah, you're right. I can probably put one together in 30 minutes or less. Now, some do take me a while, but this is sort of a refresher where we talked about district leadership opportunities before. And we started out looking at the administrative structure of District 115. And this, of course, mirrors all Toastmasters districts. So we have as our leader in chief, our commander in chief, our district director, of course, that's Carol Campbell. Through the end of June, I'm sure she's probably saying, "Oh gosh, the next couple of months couldn't go fast enough." It's a very, very challenging position, and I just admire all that she's done. And the same with Jean Williams, our program quality director. Jean is very, very creative. She's the one who came up with Wake Up with Toastmasters. That is very unique, in the Toastmaster world. Also, our educational enrichment night, that was Jean's creation. Game night, that was Jean's creation. So she really has lent her creative skills to that role. And then club growth director, that's me. I feel like I'm near the end of my term, and I've just learned all of the things I've been doing wrong, and I need to go back and do them over, but they don't let you do that. Division directors and then area directors. And area directors are what appears to be at the bottom of the pyramid, but I think of the area directors as the foundation. And if our area directors aren't, working to their maximum potential, then the rest of the pyramid doesn't function very well and is at risk of collapsing. So the foundation is very, very important. Let's look at some of the things that an area director does. An area director is assigned to not less than 3 or more than 6 clubs. And I know you had a lot of clubs when you were an area director, didn't you, Phyllis?
I had 6. And then when we gained club, we had 7. But that's, this part of it, we were just larger areas at that time. And when you're brought up with it, you don't think anything about it. Mm-hmm. So all of my days in Toastmasters, there have been at least 6 clubs in our area.
And when you get to that 7th club, then you do some realignment to create a new area or to shift some clubs to try and give more balance. I'd say most of our areas today have 4 clubs in them, and that's much more manageable. When I was an area director, or the equivalent thereof, one of the clubs I had was Pahrump, and I just loved, at first I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to drive to Pahrump, because we didn't have Zoom meetings back then. Mm-hmm. And the answer was yes, but I had 2 or 3 visits to the Pahrump Club, and it was just delightful. I got to know a little bit about Pahrump that I hadn't known before, and the group there, as you mentioned, Pam Ranieri is a past district governor from District 33, and she and Phil, her husband, both distinguished Toastmasters, are just delightful to work with. So that, even though driving 60 miles to visit a club sounds, oh, do I really have to do that? Well, the answer is it's very rewarding when you do. So the first thing we want to just emphasize is that as area director, you're going to have responsibility for overseeing probably 4 clubs in our current configuration. And by overseeing, what I mean is helping them to achieve excellence. Some of the things that you will have, the tools that you will have, include an area council. And the area council consists of your club presidents, your VP of education, and VP of membership from your clubs. Now, you may have other people or other positions, like you might have an assistant. In fact, that's the best scenario. If you have like an assistant area director, this could be someone you're mentoring who will take over at the end of your term. That's the best of all possible worlds. But the area council, when you get together, is where you share ideas with each other. You've got your club presidents and VPEs and membership. You might consider having like a joint open house or something like that. And you can focus on how do we achieve excellence within our club? How do we stay on track with our Distinguished Club program? What do you think, Phyllis? How effective do you feel like your area council was?
Well, in my day, the area council was used to decide when the contest was going to be, where the contest was going to be, and what role each one of the clubs would fulfill in handling everything that has to happen for a contest. So that was the main thing that we did. I was given a week, and any time during that week, I could have my contest. So nothing was really decided until the council meeting happened, and we voted by the number of people that came. And usually to council meetings, I invited any club member to come because the president, VP of education, membership are not always available. And you want people that will speak up and commit for the various roles in the contest for that club to perform. So the more people that appear at the council, the better it is. You want to be sure all your clubs are represented. Nowadays, they're kind of told when their contests are going to be, but you still need to decide which one of your clubs are going to perform the various roles for that date. You may not decide the date, but the roles could come from all of your clubs. I believe that area council is always great for reinforcing the information that's coming down from the district, namely incentives. If there's a free giveaway, be sure your club is getting it. All your clubs know about it, and tell them how they can get there, what they need to get that incentive won and receive those free TI bucks.
I'm glad you brought all of that up, because I think one of the things I did not do well, there are probably a whole lot of things I didn't do well, but one of them was I didn't utilize the area council to maximum benefit. That I think if I had it to do over, that's one of the things I definitely would do better. And I like the idea of anyone who wants to come can certainly come. And I think we do have some that we talked about, some of the things the area director does in addition to the council, visits assigned clubs at least 2 times a year. And I can say unequivocally that twice a year is not really enough. You need to develop a closer relationship with your clubs and visit them as often as you can. And with a lot of clubs either being online or hybrid, it's easier today than it was having to drive around to every club. Now, I still think being in person is the best thing, but I don't know the magic number of visits. I'm not sure there is one. It depends on the needs of your club. What do you think about that, Phyllis?
Well, I always tell people that they should visit each club once a month, that they need to get to know these people and where their goals are. Also, we want to help these clubs become distinguished whereby if they're distinguished, then the area is distinguished. And when it gets down to like May and June, knowing what the goals are of those people, members, you can help them along so that if something is needed to help that club be distinguished, you can maybe prod them along or really remind them that can happen and that they're an intricate part of making their club distinguished.
Exactly. And I think you're right. The more you can visit, the better. And that helps you get to know the clubs, but it also helps you learn new ways of doing things. And then you, in turn, can disseminate and share different ideas. You have to complete at least 2 area director reports a year per year based on your visits. And those reports, I know everyone always hates them. They seem lengthy and some of the questions seem very redundant, but I think they have gotten a little better over the years. They're not yet perfect, but the goal of those reports is to help keep the district, because they do go to district officers, the trio, and to, now I'm not sure, they used to go to club presidents, but I don't know if they still do. But those reports are your analysis as an area director of the club's status at that particular moment in time. How are they doing? How is their membership? How are their meetings? And what can you do to help them? So this just puts down in paper well, not paper, on computer, what we've been talking about in terms of the relationship between the area director and the clubs. These reports were your favorite, weren't they, Phyllis?
Well, really, I don't think they're that bad. I really don't. But the deal is that you send a copy of the report to the president ahead of time so that they can go through and fill it all out. And then when you get there, they know all the answers. They don't have to ask who's going to get a certain award this year, who's going to finish with a phase, or who's going to finish with a level. They have it all printed out for you. And actually, there's just a few things that I think you need to fill out personally for what's happening in the meeting that you attend. But the paperwork, the information, it can be done ahead of time by the president and be ready for you to go. So yeah, it's not that bad. The thing bad in my day is that you had to have everything complete and put it into the computer, and you couldn't stop. And if you made a mistake, you practically had to start over. So it was tricky in my day on the computer, but the report itself I thought was fairly easy.
I remember it wouldn't let you close out the report until you had absolutely every field filled out with something appropriate.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you talked about that, because the other point here is these reports should and likely do dovetail nicely with the club's success plan. Mm-hmm. They support each other and mirror each other and the Distinguished Club program. So they help the club in that way too. Even though it may seem like, this is just another report I have to read or another report I have to create, it does have a beneficial purpose. It also, on the other end, keeps the trio informed as to what's going on in the club. And hopefully the area directors know that the trio is here to help them succeed. The trio and the division directors, all up and down that pyramid we looked at, the goal is to support one another, and it starts with that good foundation. And then, of course, as you mentioned, at least twice a year, the area council meetings, maybe more often. I think at least quarterly is a much better target. But the criteria that's set by TI says at least twice a year. What are your thoughts on that? What in terms of frequency? We talked about visiting the clubs monthly, which I think is wonderful if you can do it. But what about your area council? How often do they really need to meet, do you think?
I don't really remember meeting any more than twice a year at that time. I did visit my clubs frequently. The ones that I thought needed more help or just needed somebody there to play a role, I visited more frequently than once a month. But the council meetings, I don't know, it depends on what you want to talk to them about at the council meetings. If it's a contest, well, we're only having one a year. If it's anything that's happening in the district or in international that needs to be fed to these clubs, well, we're usually doing that on the internet so I'm not sure that I think 2 is probably enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're right. Depends on what's going on at the time. And, basically what your area needs. More frequent meetings certainly are possible, but at least 2 a year. And I think the other point I would make is back when you and I were doing it, I don't think we were, at least in my recollection, we weren't as well versed in using computers and the internet, and we certainly didn't have Zoom back in those days. And I think having the tools we have available to us now will really make it a lot easier to schedule a meeting, to get together, and even to do one-on-one. If you have a particular club and the club president may be having challenges, and it's certainly much easier to make, hey, I'll schedule a Zoom meeting, we'll get on this and see if we can resolve it. So I think that's a very different environment than when you and I were area governors. And then, of course, we talked about this a little bit. One of my fun things, I love area contests. I love division contests, district contests, any contest. I just really enjoy being a part of that. There's an organizational challenge to putting it together. As you well know, you have to think about things like your venue, a raffle. How are you going to meet whatever expenses you're going to have, and then the various roles that you need to fill. And back in the day, there again, we were doing 2 contests a year rather than just one. So we had a fall contest season, and then we had a spring contest season. So how difficult or challenging, it wasn't really difficult, but you learn to organize and manage area contests, which again is part of developing your leadership skills and your organizational skills. Putting together a meeting can be challenging, as I'm sure you know.
I organized a lot of contests, even when I wasn't an area governor. I tried to actually feed the information to the people that needed to know on a spreadsheet and how to fill it out and get people arranged for those roles, or at least commitments from the clubs that they would provide X, whether it be food or cleanup or setup. All those things have to be taken care of, and making a nice spreadsheet with that information in it works well.
Yeah, it's gotten, and these days, what we didn't do back then that I really like now is that we have areas and divisions working together. For example, this past Saturday, we had the divisions C and D contest together. And throughout this contest season, we've had at least 2 areas working together, culminating in the 4 divisions holding their contests. But back in the day, they were pretty much individualized, and each area worked pretty much independently on its own. So I think that's a good change when you have like 2 areas working together, 2 divisions working together. It really expands your volunteer pool in a lot of ways and helps to make it a little bit easier. The thing that I always stressed when I was in that role is, we're not here to make a ton of money. We're here to pay our bills.
Yes.
And because people were always worried, well, what's our goal here in having to charge that $5 fee or making money on the raffle? The goal was always to pay the bills. If we got the venue free, that was wonderful. Sometimes you have to pay a modest fee for the venue, and then you want to be able to provide food. So it's really an organizational challenge, but it's a fun challenge. And you're right. If you're new to putting on a contest, it can seem intimidating, but there are always folks there to help you, along the way. And of course, your division directors, even in your club presidents. And we do have a district manual on how to organize a club contest. But as we've said many times, the important thing is that Toastmasters supports one another, and we always help each other. I think we're almost out of time here.
Can I make one more comment?
Absolutely.
People that have been an area director or a division director or up, doesn't mean you can't do it a second time. I noticed that Eugene Zolnay was again an area director. So you can do it many times. I myself have done it twice. So come back, do it again. Put forth all that information that you learned the first time to make these clubs a success, or help them at least.
And of course, Jennifer added, and please have fun. And that's
always fun. Every Toastmaster group I have been to is having some fun.
Exactly. And that's the other aspect of it is, it's a fun time. Well, we are we have about 3 minutes left. Any final words you'd like to give?
No, that was it. A challenge to all those DTMs to come out and try again.
Yes, and if you have an interest in serving as an area director, please get in touch. We'll make sure that we get your application into the district and make this happen. So take a chance, step outside your comfort zone, and you will be well rewarded.
Exactly.
I do want to remind folks that we have upcoming on May 14th is our District 115 convention or conference. Going to be a great event. I understand from the trio meeting last night that the registration has been extended until midnight or 12:01 Wednesday night. So you still have some time to register for that event. Hopefully you will do so. It's going to be terrific. We still have a few spots. Our maximum capacity, I think, is 100, and we still have a few open. So that's why we've kept it open. The other option that you may have seen come out from our public relations manager, Jennifer, is that we are going to be streaming. For those who cannot attend in person, we're going to be streaming pretty much the entire conference now. We thought we were going to have to sort of divide it up, but given the venue and where things are going to be, it looks like we'll be able to stream the whole thing. There is a charge for that. It's $25. And if you're interested in that, you should have gotten something through Constant Contact, or send me an email and I'll make sure you get the link to register for either the streaming, or hopefully you'll be there in person, because it's going to be a really great time. We will be back on Thursday with Wake Up with Toastmasters, but keep in mind that Wake Up with Toastmasters is on Monday through Friday. On Monday and Friday, we have a pair of Jeans, Jean Dunford and Jean Williams, who are co-hosts. And then on Wednesday, our public relations manager, Jennifer Smith. And then Phyllis and I are here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So please join us every day. It's always a pleasure to wake up with Toastmasters. If you have any questions, you'd like to be a guest, please give me an email. Thank you for joining us today, or joining us later if you watch the recording of this show. And we will see you back here on Thursday. Have a wonderful day. day or a few days, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.